I'm Caitlin Reitzma, and I'm here with Don. And it's Thursday, March 3rd, and we're here doing the Seniors Oral History Project. So, I guess we'll start here.
Don Bobier, born on 2nd of December 1947. I was born in St. Thomas Hospital. That's about the extent of my birthday news.
So, is Don like a family name, or how'd you get your name?
Don, I don't know where it came from. My second name is Earl, and I'm the fourth generation, I believe, with Earl. My dad was Earl Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather was Clarence Earl. Before that, I'm not sure how Earl fit in, but our oldest son has Earl in his name, and I don't know even where Earl came from, but we're passing it down anyway.
So, your ancestors, you just mentioned, do you know whereabouts they're from?
Ireland.
Ireland. Do you know what parts?
I think from Wexford. There was another village too, but I'm not very good on the history.
So, when would they have come over?
Stories are that they come after or during the potato famine.
So we'll talk about the members of your family a bit, like what your parents did for a living and how many siblings you have. That kind of
Okay.
stuff.
Dad was a farmer. He had worked off the farm for other farmers before they finally bought a farm themselves in Dunwich. Mom was, for the most part, stay at home. She did have part-time jobs. Eventually, while we were on the farm, because there was just not enough money to go around, Dad took an off-the-farm job working for the Department of Highways on 401. When it was first come through here, is one of his first jobs, and maybe led up to the second job. He helped with the clearing of the trees and so on for 401. And then he took the job at the yard on the Iona Road, where the trucks are still dispatched from for sanding and so on, like that. Yeah. I'm the oldest of three. I've got a brother, Dave, and I've got a brother-sister. A sister, Sharon. Dave is in Thamesford. My sister is in Nova Scotia.
So, where around here did you grow up then? Did you move around a lot as a kid, or were you mostly just in one home?
We lived, the first place I can remember living was where Yvonne Brooks is, Country Upholster. Carm Lyons owned the farm and had a machinery dealership. We lived in a part of the house that is now gone from where Yvonne lives. So I started school at Coins Corners. Went to school there for about 6 months, and then Mom and Dad had bought the farm in Dunwich, North Dunwich, 4th concession. So we moved, I believe it was in maybe December, and finished my public school at Largy School. Just trying to think from there. I guess it was while I was still living there that I met Betty Ann. She was from Cowell, which is only half a dozen miles away. She went to Cowell School. We got married in 1967, Expo year. I don't know what else what you might be expecting.
So what was school like?
Um, well, I can hardly remember the short time that I went to Coins Corners. Mrs. McFarland was a teacher. We started Largy, and Ethelwyn Bell was our teacher. What the year I started, there was only 4 other kids
Wow.
in the school. For 2 years, there was 4. Then my brother and 3 others started, and it kind of grew from there.
So were you all like varied grades then,
Yeah,
or mostly all the same?
full 8 grades.
Yeah.
But the year I started, there was only 4 kids, so we got lots of teacher time.
Yeah.
And until, for the first 3 years, I think, of course, there was not many kids there, but everybody was related to the teacher, except for myself.
So you'd have to walk to school and walk back then, yeah? How long would that usually take you?
It was about 3 miles. I can't remember how long. I do remember the first night that I walked, come out to Curry Road to the 4th concession. I knew which concession we lived on, but I got to the corner and I didn't know which way to turn to head for home. And a neighbor that Dad had known, and I certainly got to know, Dave Bennett stopped. He recognized me and he said, what's going on? And I said, well, I don't know which way is home. And he said, I'll give you a ride. So from then on, I remembered, and I'm sure there was times in the future then too that he would give me a ride home because he was a next door neighbor.
So were you involved in any like extracurricular activities or?
Not, I guess before I got out of public school I was in 4-H. And the young people's in the church, the Largy Church is where we went to church. I had been baptized United, but we went to the Presbyterian Church.
So, what did you typically do as a kid? Did you help your dad out on the farm or anything? Or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He had livestock. We got, at one point we had quite a few sheep, so that was part of the farming chores. Of course, there was always wood to carry in. There was a wood stove, of course. That's really, I mean, as I got older and as I said a while ago, I worked for A. Bruce McCollum, who was about 1.5 miles down the road, and other neighbors that I could bike back and forth to, to work either after school or weekends. Or for A. Bruce, I worked most of the summer and got to know his family.
So would those kind of be your first kind of job then?
Yeah, the first off the farm job, yeah. Yeah. And then as I got older, I worked there was a Ford dealership in Dutton at that time, Harold Lyons. I worked there and apprenticed as a mechanic. I tell a whole raft of stories about working there, but, but
what was it like there? Was it fun?
Oh yeah,
Or,
yeah. Good guys to work with, yeah.
I'm sure since it's such a small community, everyone kind of knows everyone and their family.
That's right. And one of the reasons for that, I guess, was most people couldn't travel as far, so you got to know the immediate neighbors, whatever, better. Yeah.
So did you go to secondary school or post-secondary school?
Yeah, I went to West Elgin. I got about halfway through grade 10, and I really had to problem sitting inside looking out. So I quit school, and that's when I went to work full time. And probably at that time I still didn't have a driver's license, so I biked to work and whatever. The rule was if I was going to quit school, I better be working, so I had to work.
So do you remember when you got your license then?
No, I can't in particular remember getting my license. It would have been at what is now Cotrac. George Cornell had the license bureau, and getting a license then was not much of a challenge at all. I don't remember at all getting it, but maybe just signed for it, or maybe got Dad to sign for it. So it was something I might mention at going to Cornell's for a license. I went there one time with Dad for the license, and it was at the end of the month when people would renew their license, so the waiting room was pretty much full. And I sat beside a man by the name of Stan Rivers, who is Grace Campbell's father, if that. And Stan had lost one hand in a corn picker, and I was sitting beside him, and I'd never seen anybody with a hook. And I was looking at it, and Stan was a pretty gruff man, and he knew I was looking at it, and he looked at me and he said, "How would you like a swat alongside the head with that?" Well, I didn't know whether to go under the table, go out the door, or what to do, but over the years after that I got to know Stan, and that's just the kind of man he was. He was pretty gruff. But that's one thing that stood out in my head about going to the license office.
So do you remember your first car then, or?
Yep, a '53 Pontiac.
Nice.
Yep.
How old were you when you got that?
Probably 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember specifically, but bought it in Dutton from a man by the name of Perry Pelmetier. Yeah.
Nice.
And drove it for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, and then traded up or whatever. Not 100% sure. I had several cars over the years. I was not easy on cars.
So was that your kind of like a hobby then? Did you like cars? You mentioned you were a mechanic. Would you like fix them up, or? Yeah.
That was a hobby at that time, and racing and the things a young fellow does.
Racing? Illegal racing?
But it's a whole different story then than it would be now. Two guys would decide to race maybe and load up the cars and take them out to the quarter mile or whatever, and most of the guys pile out and stand alongside the road and watch. And I don't think we ever had a concern with the law, but.
You ever play like games of chicken then?
No. One thing that we did find amusing driving after dark, if you had to kind of pick the right night, was to drive without your headlights on. And that would scare the hell out of somebody if you come up to a corner and then put your headlights on so that they could see you.
So did you guys get in trouble with the law a lot back then?
No, we kind of knew the law, and the law was, they were more relaxed at that time too than nowadays. And there wasn't, I don't think there was OPP at all in the area. It was just town cops. The gentleman that was a town cop in Dutton was Len Doolittle. Yep, a big man, and that in itself got your attention.
So, I'm guessing the area was pretty much safe growing up then, not a lot of crime at all,
No.
Yeah.
No, it was quite comfortable, quite peaceful.
Is there any like events that you remember happening that when you struck the news and you were like,
really getting into the archives. No, I don't think there was anything real exciting. No, no.
Yeah. So, going back to you and your friends, the olden days racing and stuff, do you have any, friends, like lifelong friends you've kept your friendship with ever since you were little?
Oh,
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Herb Patton, Bruce McCann, Ron Leach, who is passed now. There was half a dozen, I guess, that, are still friends, yep.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, my brother was a couple of years younger, eventually he tagged along too, so,
Mm-hmm.
yep.
Did you meet these people in like school or working?
Bruce started school at the same school where I was, a couple of years after I was. In fact, the property for Largy School was part of his dad's farm. Herb, I got to know him because at that time public schools had played ball against the other local public schools. That's how I got to know Herb. Ron Leach was a cousin of Herb's. That was a connection there. That's kind of covers that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, did you play any sports or anything, or no?
By the time I was it'd be probably after I was out of public school, I got into junior farmers, and I played hockey for junior farmers. Following hockey, a few years later, then Betty Ann and I both got into square dancing for the junior farmers. We competed. I could name a bunch of the folks that we danced with, but we danced competitively across southwestern Ontario.
Did you guys win, or?
We probably did to continue competing, or to keep moving in a larger area. We danced with Butch Smith, who just passed, Grace, I was going to say Pierce, Grace Ford, Pat Smith, who was a Gosnell. She was Butch's wife. My brother, Joyce Pierce, who now lives in St. Thomas. My brother danced. Elaine Brown was another member. Keith Campbell. Linda Gosnell, a sister of Pat's. I gotta get digging to. I know there was several more because we probably square danced for half a dozen or 8 years. So over the years there'd be new folks come in, other folks would be getting beyond it and wanting to square dance and had to be replaced. And
so was this was a big thing in the era then?
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had shirts that we wore, so that and the girls wore skirts that were all the same, so that we were just like you'd see on the Tommy Hunter show or something like that.
So would the community have like dances, scheduled dances all the time? Yeah.
Yeah. And Cowell Hall, which is gone now, was a popular spot. Wallace Town Hall, which is still there. And it was a completely different atmosphere then. We didn't, maybe we should have been concerned, but not that we were alcoholics, but there was free use of alcohol at the dances. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Were there like age limits on the dances, or
No,
how did those work?
no, we'd be dancing in the same crowd as our parents and the older generation even than that,
Mhm.
yeah. If we went to a dance, say at the high school, then naturally there was an age
Right.
concern.
So I'm sure the area's changed a
Oh, yeah.
bit. You know, you said your dad worked before one building it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing that's, changed throughout your life
Oh,
here.
yeah.
What are some other things in the area that maybe aren't here no longer or have developed in the last?
I mentioned the Cowell Hall. It's gone, and at one time there was right beside the hall was a annual cattle sale. The farmers walked their cattle or sheep, whatever, to the sale, sold them, and then the buyer would walk their bought livestock home. So it was a big event. The women brought lunch. There was a place that there was a fair bit of alcohol consumed, but anyway. And that being said, I can't remember ever being problems with alcohol. It was it was fun, and maybe people knew when to stop or whatever, but and I can't remember how long those sales continued. I can remember 3 or 4 years in particular that we went to the sales. It was an all day sale, and maybe half the night.
So, are there things you remember buying back then that now when you compare prices, they're just crazy?
The first thing that comes to mind, the year we got married, or maybe the second year, we brought a brand new Ford pickup, $2,700.
Wow.
Yeah.
What year was that?
69. Yeah. So it'd be the second year after we were married.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's
Wow.
a big change right there. And even after we were married for a few years, second year maybe, we bought a brand new snowmobile. And at that time, because of the amount of snow, it was almost a necessity. So we brought a brand new snowmobile. Within the last year, I come across the invoice, $695,
Wow.
brand new.
And the price is a lot different now.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what kind of hobbies did you have? Were you into hunting or fishing or anything, or?
I wasn't into hunting or fishing, no. Cars, I guess, was
Yeah.
kind of what I enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So did you learn how to work on cars from growing up around your dad on the farm, or you just
Yeah,
pick things up along the way?
yeah, a combination of. I mean, being on a farm, you had to be mechanically inclined,
Mm-hmm.
keep the machinery operating, and then when I got a car, that was another challenge. Working at the Ford dealership was a challenge mechanically, and I might have pursued that more, but it was while I was working there that we got married, and my take-home pay at that time was $67 a week. So maybe in comparison it's comparable now, but it was just not quite enough to be comfortable with. So,
Mm-hmm.
and if I could have stayed and got my license, which I never did, the wage would have been better, but it's still not too great. So at about that point, I had the chance of either taking over, buying into the family farm, or whatever. And I decided that I liked trucks. so we bought a truck, and the first, well, it kind of graduated from the first year on. We trucked a lot of water at that time to farmers and livestock, and then I trucked livestock, and then it grew from there over. And we had the trucks for about 40 years in various numbers, and yeah.
So did you mostly just truck around the area, or did you go like
No,
all across Canada, States?
Long haul, a lot of across North America.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, in Canada. Yeah, yeah, I enjoyed it. Maybe Betty Ann not quite so much because I wasn't home. But I seen a lot of country. Texas, Prince Edward Island, a lot of country. So.
So we'll go back a bit. Growing up on the farm, do you remember what kind of chores you did? Did you have specific chores around the farm or around the house that you had to do?
Not so much in the house. On the farm, sure. Feeding livestock. When there was new baby pigs, we within a few days, and I'm not sure why, but we gave them powdered iron, which was to help with their health, obviously. As I say, I'm not sure why, but it was a ritual to give new baby pigs a little bit of powdered iron. There was different chores, depending on the time of year, of course. I can remember one time, and age, I have no idea what age I'd be, but one of our cows decided it was time to have a calf, and she went to the woods. And Dad got kind of concerned, so we went to the woods in the dark, and I don't know if we had much chance of finding her, but I got lost in the dark in the woods, and that's a scary thought, scary feeling. But I can't remember the details of how, whether I probably got hollered and carrying on, and Dad found me or whatever. I don't know about bringing the cow up that night, but anyway, she was all right.
Well, luckily they found you. You're not still wandering the woods somewhere. So did you guys have like a farm dog or any cats or any pets?
We always had a dog.
Yeah.
Yep. Always a Collie.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yep. I can remember. She slept. There was a pantry outside the back door into the house, and she slept there at night. So that and very unlikely if somebody come to the door, she'd be there. She'd know. Yeah.
What was her name?
I think we had a Lassie, and I think we called at least one of them Coy. Yeah. We always had some cats in the barn for rodent reasons. Yeah. The way the barn was laid out, at one end it was two stories. We had chickens, hens, in the upstairs of the barn, so that we had our own eggs. I mean, and Mom always had a garden, so we were pretty much self-sufficient for food, even though it was only 6 or 7 miles to town, to Dutton, but it's just the way it was. You had to be self-sufficient, especially in the wintertime, because we got considerably more snow, considerably more.
Were there any years where you can remember just a very significant amount of snow? I know you see pictures and it's so high.
At the one year at least, Dad drove truck for fellas in town. Jack Stacy was his name. I don't know if he had a contract with the township or whatever, but he helped with snow removal. And one year in particular, I remember the snow got so bad that they built a hitch is not quite the right word, a frame between two trucks, and they had one behind the other, and they pushed one snowplow with two trucks to get through the roads.
Wow.
Yep, yep. It's a little different subject than the snow, but I remember coming home from public school, maybe this time of year, when it thawed, the ditch would fill up in front of A. Bruce McCollum's place, and that it would freeze, and within a matter of days, the water would drain from under the ice, and a ditch that deep, I was not that tall, I could walk in the ditch, under the ice, you know.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Were there any like tornadoes and things like that you remember growing up around here?
Yeah, I can't. There was north of London. I certainly can't remember the year, but on the Sunday after the tornado, Mom and Dad and I, probably my brother, it'd be before Sharon was born, we went for a drive, picked up Grandpa Clarence, went for a drive up north of London to see the damage. And the one thing that I remember seeing, and I'll never forget, was a steer lodged up in a tree. The wind had picked him up, and
Wow.
yep,
Alive or dead?
wild dead by then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how long he'd survived, or if he was dead when he got lifted into the tree, but
Wow.
yeah,
Jeez. Crazy stuff.
yeah, yeah.
So, would you and friends ever go down to the beach or anything when you were younger? What were the cool spots to hang out when you were younger?
You know, I think Port Stanley was, even at that time, Rondeau seemed to be a bigger hot spot for the guys with their cars, and the girls were on the beach and whatever, and that was the spot for the weekend to go to Rondeau.
So, was the Lions Club there around that time, or when did?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. If it was, I don't remember and had no connection with it.
Yeah.
But
So, were your parents involved in any like outside thing? Like was your mom a part of any women's institutes?
the church a bit, yeah.
Yeah.
And Dad also. I don't remember any particular groups. Like he wasn't a Mason or anything like that. No,
Right.
I can't remember that. And eventually there was Masons and Oddfellows in Dutton, but I know he was not a member.
So let's talk about some of the kind of first things you remember, like the first phone, your first color TV, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Again, the year, I can't remember. I remember our first TV, and it was a show that my brother and I faithfully watched, and I believe it was on every night. It was Riverboat, which was a story about a paddle wheel boat on whatever river. Telephone was a wooden telephone box on the wall. Our phone number at the farm was 608 ring 4, which was 4 long rings. You created the ring by cranking the handle on the side of the phone, and as soon as you rang, all the neighbors knew you were going to use the phone, so everybody picked up the receiver to listen to the conversation. Whether you wanted
Snooping in
them,
on the conversations.
yeah, oh yeah. Sometimes they would, or sometimes they just listened. But you could hear each receiver when they picked it up.
Ah,
So you knew how
so
many
you knew they were there.
Oh yeah, and you knew how many were listening. Yeah.
So what kind of, was it your TV? Was there like a certain time you guys used it? Like after dinner? Was it like family time watching TV or before bed?
I'm gonna say after supper. I
Yeah.
guess depending some people, the 6 o'clock meal, whether you call it dinner or we call it supper, but that's after that, and probably for an hour was all we could watch. And
Do you remember some of the shows other than your boat one there?
well, eventually shows like the Ed Sullivan Show. Oh golly. I can't right at the minute think of any other shows that we like to watch, but
Did you, I know you traveled quite a bit trucking. Did you travel at all with your family while you were younger, or?
oh, not a lot. Maybe we had relatives in Listowel. We may went to Listowel occasionally, go to the family reunions. And at some point, while we were at the farm, my grandmother, who had rheumatoid arthritis, was in the old Bobier home, and not the villa, but the previous home. She was in there. She was confined to bed for about 17 years. So every other Sunday, we would go to visit her, and the Sunday in between, Dad's brother, Carl, him and his family would go and visit her. So that was a highlight of the week, actually, going to see Grandma. Yeah.
So did most of your family probably lived around the area then?
Yeah.
Do you remember what the typical kind of family meal looked like? Your supper?
Oh, it'd be a good meal. Dad was not much of a hunter, although one thing that I remember and always looked forward to with Dad was to go squirrel hunting. And we would eat squirrel if we was lucky enough to shoot one, but one squirrel didn't go too far around the table. But occasionally rabbits. In the spring we would go fishing in the local creeks, spear fishing, which I don't know if it's even legal now, but pike was the common fish that we would get in the creek, and of course it went on the table the next day or so. And like I can remember helping Dad butcher a pig or a beef, and of course that was gonna go to the table eventually. As I said, Mom always had a garden. We'd have chickens, which would also at some point in their life be a meal.
You mentioned your mom had a garden. What kind of things like flower gardens or?
A combination, flower and vegetable. Yeah.
So I'm guessing you probably went to the Wallacestown Fair.
Oh yeah.
Growing up, yeah.
Yep.
What was it like?
It was a highlight. It was a highlight. And once I got into 4-H clubs, my brother and Sharon also were into 4-H clubs. We were in the sheep club and the calf club, so it was a competition. You had to halter break a calf, for example, so you could lead it around in the ring, and then you were judged on how you could handle that calf. And Wallacestown Fair was the end of September. I believe by mid-November, the Royal Winter Fair in Toronto was on, and if your calf was judged to be good enough to go to the Royal Winter Fair, we would go. I think I went maybe 4 times to the Royal Winter Fair, to what they called the Queen's Guineas class. And those calves, that they were they were big enough by then to be butchered, and they'd be bought at a big price in those days by some of the feed companies, maybe some of the prominent agricultural businesses would buy those calves, and it was quite an honor to make the Queen's Guineas and have your calf sold there for good money. A side story to going to the Queen's Guineas class, there would be maybe 6 or 8 calves locally that would be eligible to go. I remember we loaded the calves at where McDonald's yard is now. We'd load the calves there, go to Toronto, and I already had love for trucks, so I would quite often ride in the truck. And Dad, Mom maybe would come later if they even came. But whether it was first year or not, I don't remember, but Dad gave me, I think it was $20 to spend at the Royal Winter Fair. Well, somewhere between arriving at McDonald's to load the calves and leaving, I lost that $20. Well, I was heartbroken. But the fellow that drove the truck, Jack McKenzie from St. Thomas, he gave me money to replace that money I lost. So, and I assume Mom and Dad paid him later. But some of these things nowadays seem like a pretty trivial story. But another part of the story of going to the Queen's Guineas, we didn't sleep in a motel. We slept in the barns with calves. There was a restaurant we went to pretty much every morning, and the 4-H club leaders would take us in the morning to breakfast. And the restaurant we went to was, I'm not sure if it was owned by or the waitress was Johnny Bauer's sister. Johnny Bauer, the Maple Leaf goalie at that time, and that was quite a privilege to met somebody that famous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how many days was the Toronto
The show,
Winter?
I'm going to say maybe 5 maximum.
Yeah.
Yeah. But a lot of the local guys and all the local 4-H clubs would probably have calves involved too. And when you showed the calves, they would be, there'd be different classes for Herefords in one class, Shorthorn, Angus, there'd be different classes. And then the winners of each of those classes would then be put together, and the final winner was picked out of them. So, and I don't think there's even a Queen's Guineas class anymore. I mean, there's still, up until the pandemic, there was still a Royal Winter Fair.
Right.
But it had gotten somewhat away from the agricultural part that we knew at that time. Like the barns we were in, there was all kinds of horses, riding horses, heavy horses, sheep, chickens. You know, it was a big event, the Royal Fair.
So, was it like a group of people all over Ontario who went to the small town?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have no idea what kind of attendance, but yeah, it was big.
Yeah.
It was big. Yeah.
It sounds like a really cool
Oh,
event to have been a part of. For you said multiple times?
I think about 5 years in a row.
Wow.
Yeah, and my brother, I'm not sure how many, but he went several times.
And these are all cows that you had at your farm?
Yeah, for this class we didn't have quite the quality of livestock of our own that would make it to the Queen's Guineas. So Dad we'd go on a Saturday someplace, and we had a fellow that we went to regularly in Chatham to buy a calf, or calves, one for each of my brother and I. And as I say, it was a competition. Dad probably went right to the limit on his budget to buy calves because, well, it was it was an honor to get to the Queen's Guineas, and that was the only way most local people would even get there. So, yeah.
So going back to the Wallace Town Fair a bit, what do you remember from that? Was there food and?
Oh yeah, even there was always a big midway. That was the attraction, but there was a lot of livestock there too. There was all kinds of livestock showing. There was games. I remember one year, and as I mentioned a while ago, Wallace Town Fair is the end of September. I remember showing calves in the snowstorm.
Wow.
Yep, just one of those freak storms, but.
So what kind of games did they have there? Did you play many of them, or?
Oh yeah, there was maybe a lot of the same games nowadays, like using the big hammer to drive the weight up to hit the bell.
Mm-hmm.
Game toss, fishing for plastic fish, just a variety of stuff. And there was also what they called a junior fair, and I believe there still is, where there was flowers, maple syrup. I'm just not sure what all, but it was a drawing card, a big event for the community.
Mm-hmm. Did your mom participate in any of the contests?
I can't remember, or if she concentrated more on helping us get our stuff together too. Yeah. I do remember Dad probably showing there'd be in the agricultural, the junior fair part, there would be classes for, say, five cobs of corn, 5 identical cobs, which you had to pick quite a bit of corn to find 5 that were identical,
Mm-hmm.
or the tallest soybeans, or there was quite a variety of, and Dad got involved in that kind of thing. It was a weekend away from the farm.
Do you remember if he's won any of them, or?
I can't remember specifically.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
So.
Sometimes winning is not the object.
Yeah, of course.
Yep.
So let's go to when you met Betty Ann. You said you guys would dance together all the time.
Yep. We met. Our first few dates was probably skating.
Okay. Whereabouts would you
West
skate?
Lorne to the arena. Yep. Yep. Yeah. And then she was where she lived. Her dad had a sawmill. She was within half a mile of the Cowell Hall, and there was dances every weekend, which was a big thing.
So you got married in 1967?
67. Yep. At the Largy Church.
Largy Church.
Mm-hmm.
Was it a big reception or ceremony?
I don't know what big would be then. Maybe 40 people. Married on my birthday, which is the 2nd of December. And we knew the minister because we'd gone to that church, and something that we discuss or bring up quite often is Betty Ann's dad and my dad and him shared a drink of rye in the middle of the road out in front of the church. Reverend Stanley Andrews.
So when did you and Betty Ann buy your first house together?
We rented for quite a while.
Whereabouts?
in Cowell. It would be about a mile from her parents, maybe 3 miles from my parents. Our honeymoon, we spent cutting wood because we had a wood stove or wood furnace. So that's what we did for our honeymoon. We rented from Russ Campbell. We were there for 3 or 4 years. At that time, a chivalry, which maybe you've never even heard of, was a big thing where after you got married, and it would always be a surprise, your friends and neighbors and family would come in and bring a bunch of food, and it was similar to a housewarming party. In our case, they moved all our furniture from downstairs, upstairs, and our upstairs furniture down to the first floor. But all in fun, all in fun.
So did you have to move it all the way, back by yourselves then? Wow.
Yeah, well, we didn't have much furniture, so it wasn't a big chore. But
And then you had kids.
yeah, Donnie, we were married. Oh, now you're. I can't remember what year Donnie was born. He turned 50 last week. That's our oldest son. I believe he was born at that house where we rented. Then John is 2 years younger. Not sure where we, and I can't even remember. We rented there for maybe 3 years, then we moved to West Lorne when I bought the truck, and we rented in West Lorne, not in West Lorne, in the country. I just can't remember some of these time frames. Then my sister is 7 years younger.
So did you have a close relationship with your siblings? You know,
Yep.
playing together as kids?
Yep.
Yeah.
You didn't have much choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we had squabbles, sure. But yeah, I think we had a pretty good relationship, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What kind of games would you play, like as a kid? Did you have any like toys that you remember being your like favorite toy, or?
Not really. We played ball. I'm sure we had it wouldn't be a sandbox, it'd just be a spot in the yard someplace where there was no grass, and we'd play with toys, but I can't remember specifically what toys we might have had.
Yeah. Do you have any like funny stories from growing up, like as a teenager or in your 20s and 30s, you remember?
Well, there must be some. They're just not coming to my mind.
I'm going to interrupt. Tell some of the other chivalry stories that you guys did to
Okay.
the others. Those
Sure.
are hilarious.
Sure,
Ah.
sure. Yeah, getting back to the chivalrying, we chivalried Bruce and Linda McCann. Angela knows them quite well. There was, I don't know, 6 or 8 of us maybe, and we went to, they were at Bruce worked for Pro Metals, which was a welding business in Dutton. They were at the Christmas party, so we went to their house with the help of Bruce's one brother. We got in the house. I used numerous rolls of toilet paper up and down a banister in the house. I can't remember what else in particular, but when Bruce and Linda come home, they were pretty upset because they brought folks with them from the party. So that kind of altered the friendship for a few years.
What a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, yeah. I remember my uncle, Mum's brother, when he got married, it was, he'd be maybe 35, 40, something like that when he got married. We went to the house and I can't remember who, but it was common at that time to go with a shotgun. And they knew where Uncle Delmer's wife slept, so 3 or 4 of them under the window let the shotguns fire at the same time. But I remember some night, that same night, but I can't remember who it was, stepped on a nail, put a nail into their foot out in the yard somehow. So that kind of took the fun out of that party. Another party with friends that we had for years. In fact, this fellow worked for us, Curtis McCollum, Curtis and Anna Marie. When they got married, they were, let me see, maybe 5 miles from us in the country. By then we had bought a place in Aldborough. And a bunch of us went there that one night, some of Curtis's family, friends and whatever. Anna Marie had a Chevy Astra, which is a small Chevy car. She had it parked in the garage. There was several of us, it took several of us to get it crossways in the garage, in a 1-car garage. So in the morning or whatever, Curtis had to use the tractor because he was by himself, and he had to use the tractor to get the car turned so they could drive it out. We had quite a time that night. I hid Anna Marie's birth control pills. Somebody, the hydro line come to the house near a window, and somebody was into Anna Marie's dresser and got all their bras and slid them out the hydro wires away from the house.
You guys are ruthless.
Oh, we were, yeah, we were ruthless. We hid the iron, or iron for ironing clothes, we hid it in the basement on top of furnace pipes, I think. The birth control pills, she had a pretty good idea who hid them, but nobody let on that they knew where they were. We took you probably know what a bull thistle is, they're a big thistle. We picked one of them, and I think I was responsible for this too. Picked it a month in advance, let it dry out, put it under the sheet in the bed. Yeah.
What?
And we're still friends.
Yeah, wow. I can't believe that.
I'm sure in some manner they repaid the favor, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. But for whatever reason, chivalry's kind of petered out over the years.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody had their turn, so everybody thought it was fun. If it, like if we'd have done this to Curtis and Anna Marie and they didn't have the chance to retaliate.
Yeah.
Oh, and another thing at that same party, Bonnie Rowe, do you know Bonnie?
I don't think so. I
Oh.
think I've heard.
Yeah, she's a counselor. Isn't she a counselor on West Lorne?
She's, Bonnie McCollum, Bonnie Rowe now.
Yeah,
she's
Bonnie.
counselor
She was
currently.
Bonnie McCollum. She put Vaseline on the toilet seat and then put saran wrap over it, which is just about impossible to see.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she kind of received the brunt of this. She had to go to the bathroom. She plunked down on the saran wrap, and she was wet when she got up.
She forgot she put it down herself.
She forgot she had put the saran wrap on the toilet seat. So maybe you want to edit this, I don't know.
It's a great story.
Yeah.
So besides the chivalries, did you guys throw like pranks in the community often, or?
No, maybe then and at Halloween.
Yeah.
Halloween was another time to raise hell. Uh, I never got involved in this myself, but I know Dad, who went to the public school in Dutton, they took a cow in the public school on Halloween night. I don't know if I believe they just put her in one room. Well, a cow, eventually, any animal, have to poop. So it was messy. I've heard, and I think it was my dad telling the same stories about, he was raised not too far from here, but they, one of the pranks was to take an old wagon, wooden wheeled wagon. They took it apart, piece by piece, they put it up on top of the peak of the barn.
I was reading about a story
Yeah.
in some book, I think Sim's History or something, and it was of these group of boys who would pester this fisherman over and over again, and pester a whole bunch of people in the community, and they'd take their wagons and they'd like put them in trees and put them on top of their barns, and I'm like, how are they getting them up there?
Yeah, that maybe is fun, but that's a damn lot of work too.
Yeah, it takes a lot.
Another prank on Halloween was most people had an outdoor outhouse, so they would hopefully wait until somebody was in the outhouse and then push it over with the door down so the people can't get out. But people with those same kind of outhouses got wise to this after a while. Before Halloween, a day or two before, they would move the outhouse ahead about 3 feet. Well, come Halloween night, it's dark, people go to tip the outhouse over and they step in the hole under the outhouse. So, is that karma or what?
Were you ever subject to the
No.
outhouse trick? That's good.
No, I just heard about it.
So what would you typically do for Halloween then? When you were a kid, like, would you dress up and go around? Or?
Yeah, dress up and trick or treat. Once and I believe we were married at this point. For a few years, the fun was to go door to door, and instead of expecting candy or whatever, you'd go door to door with a glass, expecting a drink. But sometimes that would backfire if you went to very many houses. You wouldn't remember getting home.
So, you were talking a bit about the stories your dad had when he was younger. Do you know of any other stories, like, from your dad or his relatives that have been passed down throughout the family?
No, I've been putting together some stories, and I got them wrote down at home. I'm trying to think of some of them. My sister wants to write a book on, the family history and some of the, and I'm trying to remember what. One of them was a common trick was to at a dance, for example, was to jack up one side of the back of a car so that about one back wheel was off the ground. Well, people would come out and go to leave, and they couldn't leave because the wheel was spinning. I didn't know what to expect when I come here today. I should have made some notes, but I know I've got more stories. Yeah, I just can't think of anything else now.
So how did you start getting involved with, like, Backus-Page House Museum?
I don't know. the one connection, obviously, is Angela. We, in general, have a desire to, you know, both of us are interested in antiques. That's maybe part of the connection here. We collect antiques. You know, to pinpoint it, I'm not sure just how we got started at the museum.
So how long have you been interested, like, in collecting antiques?
$25 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you go to auctions and stuff like that?
Yeah,
and
auctions and yard
antique
sales and
stores?
estate sales and yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I guess we maybe, there's no set time when that attraction starts in your life. The first place we lived when we got married, we rented the place, and I think part of our rent agreement was to tear down an old garage behind the house. Agreed with the landlord. Well, it turned out that somehow there was quite a bunch of arrowheads under the garage. Whether somebody had a collection and put them in there, and then over the years they fell on the ground and got covered up or whatever. But that was, and we still got those arrowheads. That was pretty interesting in itself.
Wow.
This place where we rented, there was a lot of farms, maybe still, but there would be a dump. There wasn't a community dump, so jars and glasses and that kind of stuff would get dumped over the gully someplace. Well, there was a dump of this type at that farm. We found some silver plates there and possibly some jars, I can't remember. But as I say, there's no set time on when we got attracted to this kind of stuff, but it just grew. And Angela could attest to the amount of stuff we got. And that being said, before the pandemic for 3 or 4 years, and I may get back to it, I've got a lot of small, like old tools and that kind of stuff, and it's not just tools, but I used to go to the Villa and to Four Counties Hospital and to the Oneida Nursing Home every 6 weeks and sit down with the folks there and take a bunch of this stuff in for them to look at, and in some cases they could help me identify it. You know, they're a generation older than I am or whatever, and it passes the day for them, and I enjoyed it. And, yeah. Maybe that'll start again once the pandemic is gone. I don't know.
Hopefully. So I know you know a lot of people in the community, pretty much everyone almost. How are you, how do I word this?
I'll add something here. I was born in Dunwich.
Yeah.
And moved to Aldborough. And, well, you know approximately what my age is, so that contributes to me knowing a lot of people. Over the last few years, though, in any area, there's been a lot of change in the citizenship. You know, the people come and go, and you never do get to know them, but you mentioned that I know a lot of people. The fellow whom him and I started the brain injury support group in West Lorne, and numerous times he said he's worked different places across Canada, but numerous times he has said to me, you know, we're going to have a coffee someplace or we're traveling together or something, and he said, "Do you know everybody?"
Sure seems like it. So would you be comfortable a bit talking about the brain injury part?
Oh, sure.
Raising, a bit of awareness and stuff?
Yeah, sure. In 2011, I had suffered a traumatic brain injury. While I was recovering, I tried to find a local support group. And there was one in St. Thomas, one in Chatham. The one in St. Thomas met in the evenings, and I didn't want to go to that. I should back up a little bit here. During my recovery from the brain injury, some of the times I could drive, sometimes Betty Ann had to drive. We made about 160 trips to Parkwood Hospital for rehab. I had to go for speech, language, pathology, audiology, just a variety of social worker and whatever. But anyway, during this time, I wanted a support group, I wanted to be part of. So I mentioned that we were already patients at the West Island Community Health Center. I mentioned it to one of the girls there, maybe our nurse practitioner at the time. Unknown to me, there was a fellow from Eagle who was talking to his connection there too. And it went on for several months before these two ladies that we'd been talking to made the connection themselves that there was a need for it. So they made the connection for us, and within a couple hours we were having coffee. Doug and I, who had suffered in an accident, suffered a brain injury. So we started the group, and that was in 2015. And it's still going, where we, like everybody else going through the pandemic, we had a lot of Zoom meetings. We're under the supervision, if that's the right term, of the Ontario Brain Injury Association branch in London. They suggest that a group of 10 is about the right number to have. We have, if everybody comes out at one meeting, we have about 27 people.
Wow.
From a pretty small area. Now, this includes folks who've had brain cancer, tumors, strokes, but the majority of them are accident victims of one sort or another. So, we meet twice a month at the hub behind the health center. This coming Tuesday is our first live meeting since before the pandemic. So a lot of us are really looking forward to getting back in person. Mm-hmm. So, but it's very rewarding for both of us, and I'm sure satisfying to the folks that come, because we can sit and talk about our injuries. Like folks that have had a brain injury, of course, understand better than people that haven't. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that, even though Betty Ann went to all this rehab with me, she still does not understand a lot of this. So that's the reason for support group, for people with like injuries to sit and compare notes. Mm-hmm. About once a month we have a speaker of whatever. We got a gentleman coming next month on the subject of cannabis. Some of the folks already for pain or whatever are taking a type of cannabis. We have people from around southwestern Ontario maybe that have had that have more of a story to tell us, and we've had them come as speakers. We've had a speaker from Timsville. She was thrown off a horse, and as she recovered, she's one of about 60 people in the world that started talking with an accent.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So we've had her to our meetings. We've just have a big variety. It's an area that most people don't even realize or understand at all, but we find it very, very rewarding.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure the people, everyone in the group feels the same way. It's good to have other people you can relate to, and they totally understand what you're going through.
That's right. And our goal, and there's different ways of doing it. Our goal is to raise awareness to the general public. There's so many people. It was before the pandemic. A fellow I'd known all of my life, I was talking to him on the street one day, and I was having trouble with my language, finding words. Short-term memory is another problem I have. And he looked at me and he said, "What the F is wrong with you today?" I didn't have an answer for him. He didn't. If he knew I'd had a brain injury, he obviously didn't understand. So there's a need for awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there anything else you'd like to talk about, and any stories or anything that you can think of to?
Well, I've seen a lot of changes. Not all for good. I guess one concern right now is the war, which is disgusting to say the least. But and I guess a lot of my days right now are, I have hobbies, but a lot of my time right now is spent arranging and helping with the brain injury awareness. So I don't know that there's anything else. If you got some more questions,
Do you guys have
Fire.
any questions?
Your dad's music, I think, would be the last thing that you could maybe cover. He's just reading the meter.
oh, okay.
But yeah, maybe your the musical talents that didn't get passed on.
Oh,
Yeah,
musical talents.
the name, until my generation, the name Bobier is pretty synonymous with music. And when Dad was younger and his grandparents, it was common for maybe even every night of the week for the neighbors to go to somebody's house, dance in the house, play music until the middle of the night or whatever. Dad at one time was a member of a band, Lake Erie Ramblers. I like music, but like he yodeled, he played different instruments. Country music was his love, and so was mine. But I never picked up on playing any instruments. But him and Uncle Carl, their sister Marion, several of them, and folks were on West Lorne. They had a band. It was.
There's quite a few people in it.
I guess it maybe the root of part of this was you couldn't or didn't travel as far in his generation, so that was how they spent their time, playing cards maybe and music.
So did the musical talent get passed on to any of your siblings or anything, or?
Not enough. No. No.
None of you grew up like playing piano or anything like that?
No.
Yeah.
No, well, at least two generations were very musical. Dad's mom, who I had said eventually suffered with arthritis, she was part of the band when she was able. So there was maybe 3 or 4 generations before me that was really musical, but didn't filter down.
Oh, I'm sure you can yodel pretty good.
Oh, Well, yeah, maybe if I went out in the woods, I would, but you don't want to hear me here.
All right. Well, I think we're good.
Okay.
Thank you for
Well, you're welcome.
coming out and letting us.
I hope I didn't get rambling too much.
Oh no.
That's what we
Yeah,
want.
Maybe
that's
that's
what we
your
want.
intent.
That's what we want, yeah.